I gave my fiancé $50,000 to jumpstart his revolutionary tech startup. I thought I was investing in our future, our home, and the life we'd spent 3 years planning. Turns out, I was actually funding his secret life with a woman he met on a sugar baby site, and I was literally paying the rent for the luxury apartment where he was cheating on me. But ladies, the best part isn't how I caught him. It's what happened 2 years later when he saw my name on a prominent business list and decided he was suddenly still in love with me. Grab a coffee, or maybe a glass of wine, because this is a masterclass in why you should always check the receipts. Let me take you back to where this all started. My name is Elena. At 28, I was what you'd call a high achiever. I was a senior project manager at a top architectural firm. I owned my own condo, and I had a savings account that I'd been building since my very first job at 16. I was independent, but if I'm being honest, I was also exhausted. I was tired of being the strong woman who did everything herself, the one who handled the bills, the repairs, and the long-term planning. Then I met Mark. Mark was everything the strong woman archetype falls for. He was charming, he was supportive, and for the first time in my life, he made me feel like I could finally let someone else take the lead. He was an entrepreneur, or so he told me. He had that classic tech bro energy, Patagonia vests, expensive sneakers, and a vocabulary filled with words like disrupt, scalability, and synergy. I fell for it. Hook, line, and sinker. I thought I'd finally found a partner who was my equal, someone who understood the grind. Looking back now, my intuition was whispering to me from day one. I just chose to turn the volume down because I wanted the fairy tale. Our relationship moved at light speed. Within 6 months, we were engaged. He didn't have a ring yet. He said his capital was tied up in a high-stakes Series A funding round, but he promised me a rock that would blind my coworkers once the deal closed. I told him it didn't matter. I loved him, not the jewelry. I cringe just saying that now. Mark moved into my condo shortly after. He said it made sense logistically while he was in the grind phase of his startup, which he called Nexus Stream. That was the first red flag I painted green. He wasn't paying rent, but he said he was handling the groceries and dinners. Except the groceries were always the bare minimum, and dinner was usually me picking up expensive takeout on my way home because he was too deep in code to cook. Then came the liquidity crisis. He sat me down one Tuesday night, looking absolutely devastated. He told me the lead investor for Nexus Stream had pulled out because of a personal scandal. He said if he didn't get $50,000 in the next 48 hours, his developers would quit, the servers would go dark, and 3 years of his hard work would be gone. He cried, you guys, real messy tears. He told me he felt like a failure, that he didn't deserve a woman like me. And what did I do? I went into fixer mode. I did the emotional labor for both of us. I told him we were a team. I went into my savings, my hard-earned just-in-case money, and I wired it to his business account that same night. He called me his angel. I felt like a hero. In reality, I was just a target. For the next 3 months, Mark was working harder than ever. He was gone late every night. He started dressing better, wearing expensive tailored suits. He said it was for investor meetings. He even got a secondary office because my condo was too distracting for high-level calls. But here's the thing about being an architectural project manager. I'm trained to notice when things don't line up. I notice the cracks in the foundation before the building goes up. It started with a dry cleaning tag. I was doing laundry because, of course, I was still doing all the housework despite working 60 hours a week, and I found a tag in one of his new suits. It wasn't from our local cleaner. It was from a place way downtown, right next to a luxury high-rise development I'd actually worked on. Then, there was the business trip to Miami. He said he was meeting with a group of crypto investors. My gut didn't just whisper this time. It screamed. While he was gone, I checked our shared iPad. He'd forgotten to sign out of his work email. I didn't find emails about crypto or coding. I found an automated receipt from an apartment management company for a luxury studio downtown. The tenant was Mark. The co-tenant was a woman named Tiffany. My heart didn't just drop. It felt like it turned into a block of dry ice. I felt physically sick. I remember sitting on the edge of our bed, looking at my hands shaking and thinking, am I crazy? Is this some kind of mistake? But I didn't confront him. Not yet. I don't just react, I strategize. I spent the next week playing the supportive fiancé while I did a deep dive. I hired a private investigator. 2 days later, I got the photos. Mark and Tiffany. Mark at his luxury studio. Mark buying Tiffany a Cartier bracelet with a business debit card that I had funded. The startup didn't exist. There were no developers, no servers, just a shell company he used to funnel my money into his lifestyle. He was essentially playing rich founder on my dime, using my savings to impress a 22-year-old girl who thought he was a millionaire. I waited for him to come home on a Friday night. I had ordered his favorite steak dinner. I was wearing the silk robe he liked. I looked the part of the doting wife-to-be. When he walked in, he was glowing. He told me the Miami deal was looking solid. I just smiled and told him I had a surprise to celebrate. I handed him an envelope. He thought it was a gift. He opened it, and his face went from smug to ghostly white in 3 seconds flat. It wasn't a gift. It was a folder containing the photos, the bank statements I'd subpoenaed through a lawyer friend, and a formal eviction notice for my condo. He tried to gaslight me instantly. He told me I didn't understand, that Tiffany was a marketing consultant and the apartment was a corporate tax write-off. I didn't yell. I didn't cry. I just sat there and watched him squirm. I told him I'd already contacted the bank. Since he used my personal funds under the guise of a business loan with no intent to build a business, my lawyer was filing for fraud. And by the way, I told him, I called Tiffany. She had no idea he was engaged. She actually thought he was 35 and a widower. The look of pure, unadulterated terror on his face was better than any spa day. He started begging. He got on his knees. He told me I was the only one who truly knew him. I told him he had 1 hour to pack his things in trash bags or I'd leave them on the sidewalk. I watched him leave with his life in 3 hefty bags. Then I changed the locks, poured myself a glass of the most expensive Cabernet I could find, and cried for exactly 10 minutes. Then I got to work. The next 2 years were my season of me. I didn't date. I worked. I invested. I took that anger and I channeled it into my career. I got promoted to junior partner. I bought a second property. I started lifting weights, not for a revenge body, but because I wanted to feel as strong as I actually was. I also sued Mark. I didn't get all the money back, he'd spent most of it, but I got a judgment against him. Every time he gets a legitimate job, a portion of his paycheck comes to me. It's a lovely monthly reminder of his failure. Fast forward to last month. I was featured in a regional business magazine. The cover story was Women Reshaping the Skyline. I looked good, I'm not going to lie. Power suit, confident smile, the whole 9 yards. 2 days after it hit the stands, my phone buzzed. An unknown number. It was a text from Mark. He said he saw the article and that I looked incredible. He said he'd been doing a lot of soul-searching and therapy and realized he threw away the best thing that ever happened to him because he was scared of my success. He asked if we could grab coffee, just to talk. I laughed so hard I nearly dropped my phone. He didn't want coffee. He saw that I was now a partner. He saw the upgrade. He saw a woman who was no longer a fixer but a queen, and he wanted back in the palace. I replied by sending him a screenshot of the latest payment notification from the court for his debt to me. I wrote that coffee is $5, but his current debt to me is over $32,000. I told him to pay the tab before he asked for a seat at the table. Then I blocked him. I'm sharing this because I know there's a woman listening right now who has a gut feeling about her partner's finances. Or maybe you're the one doing all the emotional labor while he finds himself. Ladies, listen to me. Love is not a reason to abandon your logic. A man who truly wants to build a life with you will be transparent. He won't call you crazy for asking to see the books. He won't make you feel guilty for protecting your hard-earned peace. I lost $50,000, but I gained something worth so much more. The realization that I am my own greatest investment. I am the CEO of my life, and I'm no longer hiring interns who pretend to be executives. Trust your intuition, check the receipts, and never, ever let someone use your light to hide their shadows. If you've ever dealt with a faking it partner or a financial betrayer, let me know. We need to look out for each other. Because when women stand together, we're a force that no fake startup can ever disrupt. I'm thriving, I'm debt-free from his drama, and I've never been happier. You deserve the same. Don't settle for a project when you deserve a partner. Would you like me to write a similar script about a mother-in-law attempting to take over a wedding? Or perhaps a story about a woman exposing a toxic boss?